సమాచారం కోసం 95 న్యూస్ ఇప్పుడు యాప్ లో మీ ముందుకు వచ్చింది. వెంటనే డౌన్లోడ్ చేసుకుని న్యూస్ అప్డేట్ తెలుసుకోండి. ప్రతి క్షణం ప్రజాక్షేమం కోసం.
After becoming the ninth Nizam, you're saying, see, the thing is, my family is very scattered. They're very large numbers of them, but they're not all well-to-do. A lot of them don't live here, but majority of them live here. And somehow, the previous Nizam, 1 to 6 especially, were not doing too well. And even like the 7th Nizam, who are supporting me, the majority of them who actually are successors to all the properties. 1 to 6 are also successors to a lot of properties up to a certain point. So all of them, they do own a lot of properties, but they don't know how to go about it. The question is a little perplexing because there are a lot of contentious issues there. So they are in no condition to kind of solve them. So they have now, because they've chosen me, and I have some kind of my own resources and all that, I'm trying to get some legal opinions and all to see, first of all, to locate all the lands the people have, because they have phenomenal amount of lands. They're still very rich, but they don't know where their lands are and how to get them out. The lands are encroached, or the government is not kind of cooperating with them to get their lands back. All kinds of problems they have, and they have internecine fights with each other. So I'm trying to now regulate all of them and see what I can do for the family. And so I'm doing it for some certain people who are like really not well to do. I'm spending from my own pocket. Remaining a lot of the other part of the family, a very large part, they've also decided to compensate me by what at least by what I'm spending, a little more than that also. The remaining other people, other sections, I'm doing it totally for free if they can't afford it. So once the properties are in place and the cases are in place, we can negotiate with the land grabbers or whoever encroached, because it's very difficult to evict lands which have been encroached for the last 30, 40, 50 years. So we are seeing whatever is possible, and I'm in the middle of it. I'm not a lawyer, so I can't say too much about it. But that's what my plan is now. And I also want to bring the other parts of the Nizam, culture. Like I told you, the first Nizam, and he was very gender neutral. Like they consider Muslims to be very, kind of rigid and, anti-women and all that. But I'm changing that, because the first Nizam itself, when he passed away, there was no question of succession when he was alive. The moment he passed away, he wanted his daughter, Khairunnisa's son, Muzaffar Jung, to be his successor. So that shows how liberal they were towards women. And there were many other aspects like that which have not been brought out before. Especially, I told you, he had 3 sons who sat on the Nizam seat, and they've not been counted at all, because I think the history was written by the 3rd, 4th successor upward. So they just went by father to father and went to the first without naming the the second Nizam's brothers at all. And the second Nizam also wouldn't be very proud to kind of bring out that, because he had a hand in what do you call it, making sure his brothers didn't make it to the seat, or they passed away after they made it to the seat, because they came with the Mughals. The culture was like that. Even the Mughals, the first Mughal, they dethroned the Qutub Shahi kings, and they just took over, and they just started ruling from there on. So there's no such thing as any rule regarding that, like who should become the next successor. And Islam only talks about ijma, and they only talk about consensus. So like I'm a consensus candidate by the majority of the family, and it's a family decision. So I don't think there's an interference by anyone, because in 1971 the titles were abolished, but that was the end of it. This is a separate chapter, or it's a continuation of the chapter, but it's now a separate thing to doing having a father to son kind of rule, because now from 1948 we've joined India. So we are governed by Sharia laws, which are what India has prescribed for the Indian Muslims. So in that, all the family is equal, because under the king, okay, the son gets it. Even that's not fair, but nobody could stop him, because ruler was the final word in everything. But now we feel that under Islamic law, which is all brothers and sisters share equally, and 2 sisters get what 1 brother gets. So it's some kind of an equation like that. I hope I don't make any mistakes saying all this. But now I'm trying to fight for all the properties, saying that everybody gets it, not me as a 9th Nizam, or not me as the leader of the family or anything like that, or the head of the family. Actually, Nizams also means administrator. So in a way, I'm an administrator for the family. See, I can't say I'm king of Hyderabad, because Hyderabad is now part of India. It's one of the Indian cities now. It's not like there's a monarchy or rule of the Nizam or something. So there's a lot I'd like to say, but all these things I'd like to bring out about the 10 Nizams rather than 9. And like I told you, like they chose me as a 9th, but I would have been the 13th Nizam, considering they all sat in the chair, which is very relevant.
Excuse me, sir. I will ask you one question. How they will select the Nizams 7, 8, 9? already there is 8-1 is there. As much.
Is not see, Mukarramja was chosen by his grandfather. Mukarramja was not the son of his last ruling Nizam. The last ruling Nizam skipped his own 2 children called Azamja and Mauzamja, and he just jumped onto his grandson. So that is not as per, according to what people say, father to son. It doesn't go by that. Like I told you, even the first Nizam, according to all the historical accounts of, M.A. Naeem to Gibbles to, Pictorial Hyderabad, you read any book.
Now, who
and you
selected Mr. Azmaj?
One sec, let me finish. So even if you go by, Wikipedia, and you go by the last Nizam and by Zubair Ziki, and you read any book. So they've just not gone by something like father to son succession. The king, if he's powerful, he decides on someone. If he's not powerful, he fails. And people overthrow them. They overthrow the king also, like the Mughal Aurangzeb, who came here. He overthrew his own father. He jailed his father. He killed his elder brother. Dara Shikoh was killed. He was the elder brother. He was killed by Aurangzeb. And Aurangzeb became a regular king. There's no such thing like he was a defective king or he was a criminal king. In being a king, all those things are acceptable. So the power actually ruled. Or, like if this somebody is very powerful, you can't apply any rule to him. He does what he feels like. In absence of any real power, the next most powerful thing was consensus. So Muslims went by that consensus. You can see that from the time of the Prophet also, his father-in-law became his successor. Abu Bakr was his father-in-law, Hazrat Abu Bakr. So that's how they choose people. And now they chose somebody within the family. And, they're talking about the eldest son of the last Nizam. First of all, he need a paper. Then he has other brothers. His father could have chosen the brother. Secondly, his father was no one to choose because from 1971 itself, his father also didn't have a title. He was a titular king from something like 1967 to 71. After that, India abolished title. So after, and that also he was a titular Nizam, the 8th. So it's very difficult for a titular Nizam who has his title abolished to pass his title on to another person. So that is out of question. So the kind of thing ended there, and they again restarted with the family deciding to have me as the head. So about 4,500 people decided to have me orally, and I've gone and taken signatures from another couple of thousand. So tomorrow, if I can put it in court, they're all like, in what do you call it? They are notarized copies of people who chosen me, and some of the real legal documents where I also get a share in whatever they gain. But I get a share. I don't get a, like lion's share, like some kind of a king or something like that. I'm doing it for the family, basically.
Okay. Indian government doing any recognition for the...
See, they can recognize me as the head of the family. So, the government itself, they've stopped recognizing the Nizams. Actually, speaking from 1948, and even as a token kind of thing, they gave them that respect till 71. Like they had a lot of privileges, the privileges were taken away. So now the government really doesn't have much to do with the Nizam. Actually, the Nizam doesn't have any power also, or any special privileges. So what I can do is, with the backing of so many people, I can demand certain things from the government. I can, force them to recognize me, and I can, solve so many problems of the properties. So the money comes in circulation instead of being taken out by a few people, which is being done now, which is totally illegal. It's very clear the previous families who were claiming sole succession, they don't live here. So the money of India, generated India, was going out. So I have a society now where Mr. S.K. Joshi, who is the chief secretary, he's my vice president. And then HOPF, Mr. Dinesh Reddy, Mr. Swaranjit Sen. Mr. Swaranjit Sen is Christian, Dinesh Reddy is Hindu. And then we have a general, and we have a admiral. We have Mr. Ajay Mishra, who was a home secretary. We have all this, a very powerful group who are all very keen that the money should not leave India. Whatever happens, and it should be divided here among the people who are living here who are very poor. So nobody has any right to take it away, and that too, like by fooling people that they are the sole successors, especially after 1948, and especially after 1969, and because of the High Court judgment which clarifies how the money was to be divided. Then again, from 1971, it was very clear. Okay, no one or two persons can claim direct kind of ownership to those properties. So now we have a big society with very powerful people, and we are trying to do whatever we can to counter that. I'm the president of that society, just for the welfare of the Nizam, and they've all accepted me as a Nizam, all of them, from the 7th Nizam all the way till the 1st Nizam. So there are about thousands of people who are backing me now.
Okay, thank you very much, sir.